Hello fellow students, welcome to Basic Science. The Philippines is a country situated in a region where weather is unpredictable and the geologic processes often occur. These natural hazard phenomena have become part of every Filipino's lives, but that does not mean they do not pose potential threats or hazards. Being aware and prepared for natural hazards can ensure safety and survival. At the end of the lesson, you should be able to know and understand the different hazards caused by geological processes, such like earthquake, volcanic eruptions, landslides, and many more. A geological hazard is a natural geologic event that can endanger human lives and threaten human property. Earthquake is an example of a geological hazard. Worldwide, people feel an estimated 1 million earthquakes a year. However, few of these quakes are noticed and even fewer are considered major earthquake. An earthquake is the trembling of the Earth's surface that occurs when the energy in the form of strain and rock layers is released. Some earthquakes are associated with volcanic eruptions, while most occur because of plate tectonics. Earthquake is the sudden movement or trembling of the Earth's tectonic plates resulting in the shaking of the ground. There are two causes of an earthquake. It may be due to volcanic eruptions or volcanic earthquake. Volcanic earthquake happen because of the movement of magma inside volcano that causes the movement of the earth. The another causes of an earthquake is maybe to the movement of rocks along fractures known as faults on Earth's surface. These faults are usually associated with a parallel movement of plates in a transform faults. As the plates move, rock deformation occurs and energy starts to build up. When the rocks break, energy is released, resulting in an earthquake. The Philippines is prone to earthquakes because of the numerous number of faults within the country. Therefore, it is already given that the Philippines would experience a lot of geologic hazards.
Basic earthquake features: epicenter, focus, and hypocenter. Epicenter: place in the surface of the earth above where the ruptured rocks broke to produce an earthquake. Focus: point of initial breaking or rupturing within the earth. Hypocenter: directly below the focus. Focus or hypocenter: the point that is placed in the earth crust where the pressure or systemic waves is being released and where the actual movement takes place. Epicenter: the central point of the Earth's surface. Vertically, it is above the focus. It is where underground nuclear explosion or earthquake came from.
Quakes are measured and compared by intensity, magnitude, moment magnitude, and Richter scale. Intensity: effects of ground motion on people and structure. The intensity is a number written as a Roman numeral describing the severity of an earthquake in terms of its effects on the Earth's surface and on humans and their structures. Several scales exist, but the ones most commonly used in the United States are the modified Mercalli scale and the Russell-Forel scale. Magnitude: amount of energy an earthquake released. Magnitude is the physical size of the earthquake. An earthquake has a single magnitude. The shaking that it causes has many values that vary from place to place based on distance, type of surface material, and other factors. Moment magnitude indicates the size of the earthquake with a decimal number. It is determined from an estimate of the area that ruptured along a fault plane during the quake, the amount of movement slippage along the fault, and the rigidity of the rocks near the focus of the quake. Currently used by most news reporters, was designed to produce a more accurate accounting of the total energy released by an earthquake. Richter Richter scale, developed by famous seismologist Charles Richter, still used by some news reporters. Was developed in 1935 by Charles F. Richter of the California Institute of the Technology as a mathematical device to compare the size of earthquakes. The magnitude of an earthquake is determined from the logarithm of the amplitude of waves recorded by seismographs.
Quakes and linkages with the other natural hazards, shaking and ground rupture. Second, liquefaction. Third is regional changes in land elevation. Number 4, landslides. And the second to the last is fires. And the last one is disease. Shaking and ground rupture, the immediate effects of a catastrophic earthquake, which are violent ground shaking accompanied by widespread surface rupture and displacement of the earth's surface. When we say shaking is pagkalog or pagyanig, and ground rupture ay pagcrack or pagkasira ng lupa. So this is the immediate effect ng lindol na mararamdaman natin kung saan ay ang malakas na pagyanig sa lupa cause of earthquakes. So let's proceed the liquefaction. Liquefaction is during earthquakes, intense shaking can cause near surface layer of water saturated sand to change rapidly from solid to a liquid. Liquefaction, ibig sabihin ay pagtunaw. So during the earthquakes, ang matindi nitong pagyanig or pag-alog is can cause or magsasanhi ng ang solid is magiging liquid. So let's proceed the regional changes in land elevation. Vertical deformation of land surface. The deformation includes both regional uplift and subsidence of the Earth's surface. These changes in elevation can cause substantial damage in coastal areas and along storms can raise or lower groundwater table. Ito yung changes o pagbabago sa ating rehiyon or pook sa pagtaas ng lupain. Because of earthquakes is magkukos ng pag-angat o paglubog sa ating daigdig, sa ibabaw ng ating daigdig dahil sa impact ng earthquake. Magkukos ng malaking pinsala sa mga coastal areas na maaring itaas or babaan ang tubig sa lupa. Landslides. Most closely linked natural hazard to earthquakes. Earthquakes are one of the most common triggers for landslides and hilly and mountainous areas. Landslides triggered by earthquakes can be extremely destructive and cause great loss of life. Landslide is ito talaga yung mga malalapit na panganib because of the earthquakes. Ito talaga yung mga common triggers why nagkaka-landslide sa mga matataas na areas. And also, landslide is maaring maka-extremely destructive sa atin and pwede siyang mag-cause ng kamatayan sa atin. Lalo na yung mga tao nasa matataas na lugar. So proceed tayo sa fires. Fires, shaking of the ground and surface displacements can break electrical power and natural gas lines, thus starting fires. The threat from fire is even greater because firefighting equipment may be damaged, streets, roads, and bridges may be blocked, and essential water. So, possible talaga na magkasunog because of the shaking of the ground, lalo na kung malakas ang pagyanig, na can break the electrical power and natural gas lines, thus starting fires. So, doon talaga magsisimula yung apoy pagkasunog. Threat from fire is even greater dahil ang mga equipment ng mga fireman, bombero is maybe madadamage. Yes. So, kahit maliit lang na sunog is ito'y mas lalaki. Kasi walang magre-response eh. So, magkukos rin ng pagkasira ng mga streets, roads, bridges, maybe block rin. At yung essential water na pinagkukunan natin ng mga tubig masira din. So, malaki yung chances na magkasunog because of the earthquakes. The last one is disease. Disease caused by loss of sanitation and housing, contaminated water supplies, disruption of public health services, and disturbance of the natural environment. Cause of earthquakes is pwede tayong magka-disease. Caused by loss of sanitation, pagkawala ng kalinisan, and housing. So, magkakasakit ka talaga. Ikaw naman tong mawala ng bahay or mawala yung kalinisan sa paligid mo. Then, masisira din yung mga pinagkukuhanan natin ng mga tubig na magkukos ng disease. Di maganda yung kapaligiran, wala kang bahay, wala kang mainom. So, may possibilities talaga na magkasakit ka. Pagkagambala sa mga public health services. Siyempre, pangkalahatan nitong earthquakes, lahat tayo maaapektuhan. Hindi lang isa, kundi lahat tayo. And the disturbance of the natural environment. Ito na yung mga pinagkukunan natin ng ating makakain. May chances talaga na tayo magkasakit dulot ng earthquakes.
Landslide. A landslide is a downslope movement of a mass of rock, debris, earth or soil. Soil being a mixture of earth and debris, a slope is a slant or incline on a land surface. The forces that produce landslide are determined by the interaction of several variables. The type of earth material on the slope, topography, and slope angle, climate, vegetation, water, and time. The term landslide encompasses 5 modes of slope movement. These are the falls, topples, slides, spreads, and flows. The most common example of landslide type is rock falls. Landslide can be initiated and slope already on the verge movement by rainfall, snow melt, changes in water level, stream erosion, changes in groundwater, earthquakes, volcanic activity, disturbance by human activity, or any combination of these factors. Earth material, mineral composition, degree of cementation or consolidation, the presence of zones of weaknesses, natural breaks in the consistency of earth material, such as layering of sedimentary and metamorphic layering, or they may be zones along which the earth has moved before, such as on old landship surface or geographic fault. The earth material includes the minerals, rocks, soil, and water. Earth material are vital resources that provide the basic components for life, agriculture, and industry. An earth material is defined as a resources comes from the earth. Topography and slope angle. Topography relief refers to the height of hill or the mountain above the land below. The steeper the slope, the greater the driving force. The topography describes the shape and relief of the land. It is a measurement of elevation. Topography measured with lines that connect points representing the same elevation. And the slope is the percent change in the elevation over a certain distance, and it is defined as the angle measured between a horizontal plane at a given point of the land surface. Climate. Weather that is typical in a place over a period of years or decades. For landslide, the type of climate influences the amount and timing of water that infiltrates and erodes a slope and the type of slope vegetation. The climate is the long term of weather. Climate can be classified according to the average and the typical ranges of different variables. The other useful elements for describing climate include the type and the timing of precipitation. It is the amount of sunshine, average wind speeds, and direction of number of days freezing, weather extremes, and local geography.
Vegetation. This is actually holds soil in place, and without the root system of trees, bushes, and other plants, the land is more likely to slide away. This is to secure the plants or plant life were in place and providing protection to avoid erosion, and it's covered that cushion the impact of falling rain to a slope. In short, this is simply gives protection cover to enlighten safety of plants live and to prevent erosion at all. Water. Well, water can trigger landslides and mudslide because it alters the pressure within the slope, which leads to slope instability accordingly. Water affects slope stability in three ways. Number one, it swallows soil slips and debris flows, which can develop during rainstorm and that when slope become full. Number two, some landslides were developed in particular months, even years, and that's followed by a deep ingoing of water into slope. And lastly, number three, the water erosion could decrease its stability as simply means. Time. This is referring to the time where the weathering of rocks well reduces their strength, and that when the time on rocks to its strengthening, it will cause chemical reaction of water to the soil and rock near the earth's surface at all.
Man-made factors of vulnerability to landslides.
Intense deforestation, soil erosion. Erosion of the soil from deforestation, heavy rainfall, and poor land use control, in addition to steep slopes, add to the risk of landslides and building collapse. Landslide-prone areas based on Department of Environmental and Natural Resources, Mine and Geoscience Bureau or GSB, landslide-prone provinces such as Benguet, Mountain Province, Nueva Vizcaya, Kalinga, Apayao, Southern Leyte, Cebu, and Ifugao. Landslides are associated with hill or mountainous. Recognize warning signs, listen and watch for rushing water, mood, unusual sound. Unusual sounds such as twists, cracking, or boulders knocking together might indicate moving debris, and a faint rumbling sound that increases in the volume noticed as the landslide nears. Problem within the foundation can be caused due to several reasons and therefore create critical structural issues. Whether you are a homeowner or a buyer, problem is a foundation can be seriously worrying. The major obstacle you may face is whether to sell the house, scrap the house, or find a way to repair the foundation. A buried pipeline has better protection than a pipeline in an open trench. Forging is generally accomplished by a covering structure with the rocks, forward from a nearby shoreline, or covering pipeline with the soil excavated from the bay during trenching. Permanent ground deformation is one of the most damaging hazards for buried lifelines such as gas and oil pipelines. The most frequent causes of permanent ground deformation is a landslide. Landslides can be triggered by a variety of causes, yet the factors responsible for the most damaging landslide are water and especially earthquake.
Effects of landslides and linkages with other natural hazards. People and property hit with or buried in falling debris. Landslides and other natural hazards can cause serious damage. Landslides can destroy properties, buildings, infrastructures, and can kill lives of a lot of people and other living organisms in this world because of those falling debris that came from the erosion of the soil. As a result, that houses near to the hills or on top of the hill will be fully covered by the soil or debris. The reason why they will stuck inside and can't get out of their houses, that will be the cost of their death.
Homes, roads, and utilities that have been constructed on the top or side of a hill may be damaged. Natural hazards like landslides can be the barrier of the rising economy. The damages of these hazards will make the economy lose, like landslides that will cause serious damage that will destroy many built buildings, infrastructure, houses, and will ruin agricultural products. Also, for those farmers who live near to the hills, that will lead us to a crisis. Flooding upstream from a landslide that blocks a river and transmission of diseases from fungal spores disturbed by landslide. The flood that is caused by the landslide is hazardous into a person's health. It's because the water from the flood is contaminated. Because there are lots of living microorganisms where you can get fungal respiratory condition, skin and soft tissue fungal infections, and many different diseases that is hazardous into a person's health. Earthquakes, volcanoes, storms, and fire all have the potential to cause landslides. Earthquake is a major cause of a landslide. This happens when masses of rock, earth material, or debris flows down a slope due to gravity. Storms and fire can also be the cause of a landslide because of when water that came from the rain rapidly accumulates in the ground and results in a surge of water, saturated rock, earth materials, and debris that came from a wildfire. And lastly, volcano landslide. It is also known as the har. It is formed by heavy rainfall during or after the eruption of the volcano. The water that came from the rain will easily erode loose volcanic rock and also on hillsides and in river and valley. Landslides may be responsible for flooding if they form an earthen dam across a river. Debris that came from the erosion can be cause of flooding. Those debris will block the valleys and stream channels, forcing large amounts of water to back up. This will be the cause of flooding in the upstream area, and if the blockage gives away, downstream will quickly flood too. A large landslide may also cause tsunamis or widespread flooding if it displaces water out of a lake or a bay. The reason why this may cause tsunamis is because tsunamis can be generated on impact as a rapidly moving landslide mass enters the water or as water displaces behind and ahead of rapidly moving underwater landslide.
Earthquakes are sometimes used in predicting volcano or volcanic eruption. An earthquake alerts the authorities to observe a nearby volcano. When volcanoes show signs of eruption, evacuation of the nearby villages should be immediately implemented. Volcanic eruption. A volcanic eruption occurs when magma is released from a volcano. Volcanic eruption can be quiet, calm, and effusive. Effusive means mapusok. Or they can be explosive. Effusive eruption produce lava flows, while explosive eruption produce ash and pyroclastic density currents. Volcanic eruption happen when lava and gas are discharged from a volcanic vent. The most common consequences of these are population movements, as large number of people are often forced to flee the moving lava flow. Volcanic eruption often cause temporary food shortages, the volcanic ash landslides called lahar. So sa vulkan, meron tayong crater. Crater ang bunganga ng vulkan. Crater, mouth of a volcano that surrounds the vent. Ang vent naman an opening in the volcano from where the lava comes out. So ano ang kaibahan ng crater sa vent? Ang crater, rough circular depression na nabubuo sa ibabaw ng isang vent dahil sa nag-ipong lava, samantala ang vent naman ay pwedeng crack sa lupa basta may lumalabas na volcanic materials. So ang crater may vent, pero ang vent hindi kailangan ng crater. Sa pagputok ng bulkan, nagkakaroon ng ash at ash cloud. Sa ash cloud, ano ba ang ash cloud? Ash cloud ay ang usok na nagmula sa pagputok ng bulkan. Ang ash naman ay maliit na bahagi ng lava o mga bato na nagmula sa pagsabog ng bulkan. What causes volcanic eruption? Volcanoes erupt when molten rock called magma rises to the surface. Magma is formed when the earth mantle melts. If magma is thick, gas bubbles cannot easily escape and pressure builds up as the magma rises. When the pressure is too much, an explosive eruption can happen, which can be dangerous and destructive.
Good day, everyone. I am Asmael K. Chu, and today I will be talking about the classification of volcanoes according to its activity. But before proceeding to our main topic, let us define first what volcano is. A volcano is an opening in a planet or moon's crust through which molten rock, hot gases, and other materials erupt. Volcanoes often form a hill or mountain as layers of rocks and ash build up from repeated eruptions. Volcanoes are classified as active, dormant, or extinct. Active volcanoes have a recent history of eruptions. They are likely to erupt again. Dormant volcanoes have not erupted for a very long time, but may erupt at a future time. Extinct volcanoes are not expected to erupt in the future. Inside an active volcano is a chamber in which molten rock, called magma. It collects, and the pressure builds up inside the magma chamber, causing the magma to move through channels in the rock and escape onto the planet's surface. Once it flows onto the surface, the magma is known as lava. Some volcanic eruptions are explosive, while others occur as a slow lava flow. Eruptions can occur through a main opening at the top of the volcano or through vents that forms on the sides. The rate and intensity of eruptions, as well as the composition of the magma, determine the shape of the volcano. Volcanoes are found on both land and the ocean floor. When volcanoes erupt on the ocean floor, they often create underwater mountains and mountain ranges as the released lava cools and harden. Volcanoes on the ocean floor become islands when the mountains become so large they rise above the surface of the ocean.
Mitigation and adaptation of geological hazards. Earthquake. Earthquake Hazard Reduction Program. Initiative may come from the government officials or the National Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council, and DRRMC serve as the President's advisor on the disaster preparedness programs, disaster operation and rehabilitation efforts undertaken by the government and the private sector. It acts at the top coordination of all disaster management and the highest allocator of the resources in the Philippines. Sila ang nagbibigay ng babala, impormasyon, abiso, o mga mahalagang anunsyo tuwing may sakuna at kalamidad sa Pilipinas.
What is the source of earthquake? Earthquakes are caused mostly by rupture of geological faults, but also by other events such as volcanic activity, landslides, mine blasts, and nuclear tests. An earthquake's point of initial rupture is called its hypocenter or focus. The epicenter is the point of ground level directly above the hypocenter. These are the essentials that we need to bring or have during earthquake. We need these essentials for safety purposes. These are the following. Tools. We need batteries for flashlight and radio. Whistle. Foods and water. Fire extinguisher. Landslide. Identify areas in which landslides are likely to occur. Education warn people of impending landslides. Design slopes of engineering structures to prevent them. Control landslides after they have started moving. Avoid development on sites where landslides are occurring or likely to occur. Evacuation and relocation.
Volcanic eruption, geohazard mapping and assessment program. Causes of volcanic eruption. Magma is extremely hot liquid and semi-liquid rock located under Earth's surface. This magma can fuse through holes or cracks in the crust, causing a volcanic eruption. Pag mag-increase ang magmastatic pressure, nagiging high-pressure gas bubbles can reach the Earth's surface at nabubutasan ito kaya nang explode at nagkakaroon ng eruption. Pag ang magma ay nag-flows ito sa Earth's surface, tinatawag na itong lava. Effect of volcanic eruption are thrown out of volcano. Lava, rock, dust, and gas compounds are some this, etc. Ang pagputok ng volcanic ang bumubuga ng maraming bilang ng mga bato. At sinasabi nilang abo o volcanic ash na nakamamatay. Mayroon ding itong tinatawag na lava na umaapaw galing sa bulkan at unti-unti itong dumadaloy sa kalupaan. Ang volcanic eruption ay bumubuga ng poisonous gas na nagmimix sa air. Forecasting in the process of making prediction of the future based on the past and present data and most commonly by analysis of trends. It will answer in forecasting eruptions, where kung saan volcan ang possible pumutok, when, kailan possible pumutok, how big, gaano kalawak maapektuhang lugar, how long, ilang araw aabutin ng eruption, and the consequence or maaaring epekto nito. Ang pag-obserba ng volcanic eruption ang mahalaga kaya kailangan ng forecasting para matrack ang present status ng isang volcan. Ito ay ginagawa ng volcanology and seismology. LGU is specifically Municipal Disaster Risk Reduction Management ang sumusugod sa lugar kung saan ang critical area na nakasaad sa geohazard map. Nagbibigay ng balala sa mga tao upang mag-evacuate at lisanin muna ang kanilang tahanan dahil delikado sa kanila ang manatili doon. Ang lava na dumadaloy sa volcano ang umaabot hanggang 200 kilometers at kung titignan ito, malawak ang masasakupan nito. According DANR, geohazard mapping and assessment program is an important component of the disaster management and mitigation to reduce the loss of lives and properties brought almost by natural disasters. It means geohazard mapping and assessment program is not only applicable to volcanic eruption but also in all natural disaster like landslide, earthquake, etc. The main goals of this is to prevent para mabigyan sila ng warning sa critical na sitwasyon ng kanilang area. Ang impormasyon ay kailangan lalo pat we don't predict the hazard brings our environment, so we need to adapt on this situation.
Now, students, it's your turn. Explain the different hazards caused by geological processes in your own understanding in the comment section. Thank you for watching.